Hello, my name is Emily, and today I'm going to be talking about my first year as an optometry student. I am currently going into my second year of optometry school, and I'm very excited and still a little bit stressed. But first year was amazing, and I'd love to talk about it and share my tips and tricks on it. Okay, so let's get right into it. So, I want to talk about the good things of the year and also the challenges that I faced during my first year. Let's first start off with the best things. The best things are I gained lots of great friends. I think it is so important to find a support system in school, find people that you study really well with together, but also that you laugh really well with together, because you need those people to laugh with, because it gets extremely stressful at times, and there are challenges and tests and assignments and hardships, and you really need people to laugh with, but also study with, because studying is very important in optometry school. So find your support system, find people that you work really well with together, and keep them. Another great thing that, at least in my program, is the doctors that I get to work with every day. Each one of them is unique in their own way. They all have their own teaching techniques and their style, even in the practice of optometry, and I've had such a wonderful time learning from each one. Some teaching techniques have been easier to keep up with than others, I will say, but with each one I've been able to feel like there is a reason why they're doing what they're doing and appreciate it. So another great thing that I really liked is the schedule. So we had classes Monday through Thursday, and that left Friday to be able to be our study day, our work in the skills lab day, or reach out to professors day and get help, our tutoring day to get tutored, and just all of that. And so that was really beneficial to me, where I could catch up on that day and really know that there is going to be some time that I could set aside to study that wasn't just the weekend, because sometimes you still want to have a life outside of school, and that's not a bad thing. And your teachers want you to have a life outside of school. They want you to study, but they want you to have a life. They don't want you to work yourself so hard that you burn out. So I think, at least in my school, I think that was such a smart move to have that day set aside for the students to be able to get stuff done. Another great thing about first year is the workload wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. This is also very true to how my point about the schedule and how that was such a great thing, but I felt like I could keep up with my schoolwork, and I also felt like I could give more, and that's something I'm going to work on in my second year, is to give a little bit more than I have been in my first year. But I felt like it worked out pretty well, that I had time to study when I needed to study. Of course, there are things that really came up and was really stressful, and we had lots of quizzes all in the same week, but I felt like all in all our professors did really well at making sure that there weren't too many quizzes back to back. We didn't really have any quizzes on the same day really at all. Some quizzes were just one right after the other. One the next day, we had one on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and sometimes even Thursday in some weeks, but at least they were all on the same day. So I really appreciated that. And so that was a really great thing. The next great thing that I really loved, and one of my favorite things, is that we have access to a skills lab. And I feel like that's pretty standard for most optometry schools to be able to practice, but this was really amazing that I could go in, as long as it wasn't being used by any of the other classes, I could go in and practice as many times as I wanted. And that was so crucial to me going into learning about the slit lamp and being able to do a full-on eye exam of anterior segment, or just the front part of the eye. That was crucial to me to be able to have access to the skills lab, because I needed all the practice that I could get. Now I want to get into some of the challenges that I faced, and there were a lot. Just all in all, it's a big adjustment to be able to make, and I think we all know that going in, going into a graduate program and a doctorate program, it's a big jump. And thankfully, the prerequisites I took during undergrad, they work. And I tell you, if you're in undergrad or going into undergrad and thinking about optometry school, take the prerequisites seriously. Not all of them will apply to what you learn in optometry school, and in fact, some things it will just be a knowledge dump and throw it away for forever. But how you study and making sure you know how you study best is crucial once you get into grad school. And to study lots of material. That was the great thing about undergrad, where I felt like there was still quite a bit of material in undergrad, and I had to prove myself in all of the tests. That carries on into grad school, and I feel like there's even more pressure in grad school to memorize large amounts of information and to be able to present it in a test. So that is something that I feel like can be challenging in grad school, is just that the additional amount that you have to retain, and to make sure you retain all throughout the semester. And I feel like sometimes in some classes it can be different. We're learning really hard concepts, and concepts that you didn't even know that there was anything like that. Like, we have optics our first year, and optics is just how lenses work, how light works, everything, and it's a little bit mind-blowing. And so classes like that can pose a really big challenge, but I think it's really important to turn back to those undergrad days. And if your undergrad days weren't as great as you maybe wanted them to be, that's okay. I know for me, I had plenty of mess ups in undergrad, grades that I wish I had gotten better. There's always improvement that you can make, and it's really just to hone into those study habits, things that you know work, and to go from there. And I want to post a video of how I study. It is not for everyone. It is just something that I've been doing since my preparation for the OAT. If you don't know what the OAT is, it's the test that you can take so that you can get into optometry school. Okay, another challenge that I faced was the practicals, our skills lab practicals. We had 3 types of practicals in optometry school. The first practical was in our family practice class. Our family practice class, we did a different set of skills, like blood pressure, pulse. We even did some random ones to test for meniscus tears, things that we probably won't be using ever again in our optometry world, but just good to know, good to be able to understand if a patient ever talks to us about it or mentions it. So we had those practicals, and those were great. They're usually pretty easy, simple. And then we also have our anatomy practicals, which are a little bit more challenging. You have cadaver lab and looking at images to be able to pinpoint different anatomical structures. So those were challenging, but also not bad. Did a lot of flashcards to prepare for those. Did a lot of time in the cadaver lab to prepare, but also not too bad. And then our skills lab, and to me, I felt like that was the biggest challenge, just because there are a lot of things that you have to remember with your skills lab, and they're not always gracious with that. My first semester was a little bit easier because we were doing not technical things per se. Our first semester we did more just visual acuity, and we did pupil testing, and we did cover tests, and we did trying to remember what else, but just kind of more basic testing. And also in our first semester we did refractions, and those were a little bit more challenging, but I felt like there was some leeway in there to be able to pass, but overall not too bad. For me, the second semester was a little bit more challenging, and they got a little bit more strict, I feel like. My school is highly preparatory for our skills board exams, and I'm so grateful for them for doing that, because I want to be very, very ready for my skills board exam. So certain language, if you don't use certain language in the exam, then it is an automatic failure. And for my second semester, for our first practical of our second semester, I failed because I didn't use that specific language that I needed to use. And I'll never forget it now, and that it will stay with me. There's a certain skill where if you don't use the specific language, that's technically noted that you didn't do it right. And so that was a good lesson to learn. And then for my for the second practical, unfortunately I was off by 1 point in one of the skills, and so I have to redo it at the beginning of my second year in that first semester. So again, it's making sure that it is exact, and it is hard to make it very exact, and some preceptors are a little bit more lenient than others, but overall I think they're pretty in unison with what they want and what is needed in order to perform perfectly. And so I definitely try for perfection. I want it really bad, and so I thankfully my program allows a certain amount of redos, and so I was able to redo my first practical that I failed, and will be redoing my second practical that I failed. And I will go into another video of how I'm going to study more effectively for my skills practicals and seeing if they work. But that was a big challenge, and definitely a very humbling experience. Nobody wants to fail, but it is good to look back and really assess what went wrong to never do it again in the future. So that was kind of a recap of my first year. All in all, it was a great year. I learned so much and was able to adapt to the sometimes overwhelming and never-ending studies, but also totally enjoy my classes and totally enjoy the skills. It is so fun to be able to look inside someone's eye and to see what's going on, to understand what's going on. I highly recommend this field to anybody who's researching it. It is such a great time, and I look forward to doing more videos just like this. Bye!